Good afternoon and welcome again to Executive Sales Forum. Can you all put your hands in the air for me? Can you show me your fingers and put your hands in the air? I'm going to ask you a question. It's going to be a scale of 1 to 10 question. You know, Justin said the future of sales was bright. I'm going to ask you in a moment, do you think the future of sales is bleak or bright? 10 is going to be the future of sales is super bright. I know the path. It's very clear. I'm excited about it. No problems. 0 is going to be bleak. 0 is going to be more challenged. I'm not clear on the path. Maybe some potential job loss. Okay, so please show me, is the future of sales bleak or bright? Hold the hands up. Show me the number. Show me the number. Oh, 10s, 9s. High. Okay, we're seeing lots of high numbers. Wow, lots of optimism. 10s. Wow, Justin, you got a lot of fans here. A lot of like-minded folks. Okay, thank you. Put your hands down. Overwhelmingly, this group thinks the future of sales is bright, just like Justin. Super interesting. Great. Well, we certainly see some mixed signals. We hear mixed things about the future of sales. You know, we hear about the rise in importance and scope of marketing. You know, we hear about, in some cases, the diminishing importance of sales. We hear that certainly transactional sales roles may be eliminated or make it outsourced. We even hear that some buyers have a negative view of sales. So much so that for me and for us, it calls into question, is the future of sales bleak or bright? Accenture tells us, in fact, 77% of buyers don't believe sales helps, don't believe sales understands their business. 77%. I am a lifelong seller. I've been selling for 20 years. I run a global sales team at LinkedIn who sells Sales Navigator, a product designed to increase sales productivity into sales professionals. This is an extremely alarming statistic. So we asked ourselves, why? Why do buyers have this dim view of sellers? We got back a few responses. First of all, buyers are starting to transact online a lot. Forrester tells us that 68% of buyers would prefer to transact online. That's up from 53% in 2015. Second, buyer expectations have risen. Now, this is mostly driven by what happens in buyers' personal lives. Just like you and I, you go home and you're treated to very tailored, customized experiences from consumer tech and consumer web companies, and buyers are bringing those into their professional lives. But expectations have risen, and sales pros are having challenge meeting those expectations. And then finally, we hear about the rise of automation and AI, disrupting the economy, maybe leading to sales job loss. Forrester, again, tells us that in 4 years, 22% of all sales jobs will be eliminated. Gartner says that by 2020, 85% of all transactions will be done online. So at LinkedIn, we wanted to validate for ourselves some of these trends. We looked inside our own data to try to discern the importance of automation and AI. We found a couple of things. The skill big data analytics. So there's a skill called big data analytics. It's risen tenfold on LinkedIn in just over 3 years. It's the fastest growing skill on LinkedIn. Job listings for automation and AI competencies are up 234% in a year. So I think when you step back and you look at this data and you hear some of these trends, you certainly get the impression that there may be a challenging future for sales. Certain parts of sales are certainly challenged. But what if we're asking the wrong questions? What if, in fact, in many cases, buyers find B2B sales indispensable? They need and want sales, but it's changing. Well, that's exactly what we found when we looked inside the LinkedIn ecosystem and looked at LinkedIn data. We see the evolution of sales. We see sales changing, but we do think that there is this bright path forward for sales. Now, before I get to the bright future, one question we wanted to ask ourselves at LinkedIn is, do we, in fact, see any kind of a decline in sales roles? So to answer this question, we looked inside the LinkedIn ecosystem. We looked at all the sales and marketing professionals on LinkedIn and wanted to compare the ratio of sales pros to marketers to see if anything had changed over the last 2 years. Had sales roles declined? Had marketing roles increased? Here's what we found. On the left-hand side, 2015, for every 1,000 sales and marketing associates on LinkedIn, 811 were salespeople, 189 were marketers. Fast forward 2 years, on the left, 2017, 803 of those 1,000 associates were sellers, 197 were marketers. So what does this tell us? Well, there hasn't been any kind of precipitous decline in sales relative to marketing over the last 2 years, nor has marketing increased. Marketing's up 4%. Marketing hasn't increased as much as I would have expected, based on what I hear about marketing, the fragmentation of marketing, marketing technology, marketing skills and roles. I would have expected that marketing had been rising faster. But we don't see any kind of precipitous decline in sales. Something else we found when we looked at this data, we found a very clear and marked shift in the skills demanded for salespeople to a more strategic set of skills. We see recruiters demanding more strategic sales skills. To plot this, we have the customer relationship continuum. And on the customer relationship continuum, you have a set of skills. You have, in this case, transactional sales skills on your left, functional in the middle, and strategic sales skills on the right. We want to see the movement between these skills. We look at transactional sales skills. Let me explain. Transactional sales skills are relatively common sales skills. They are skills like sales, like account management, business development, sales leadership, listed on profiles, and they're relatively common. In fact, about 49% of all sellers on LinkedIn list these transactional sales skills. Functional sales skills in the middle are slightly more complex sales skills. These are skills like consultative selling, solution selling, consulting, networking. These skills are more rare. Only about 11% of all sellers on LinkedIn have these functional sales skills. But they're 1.8 times more in demand by recruiters than transactional sales skills. And then moving to strategic sales skills, the most complex of all, these are sales skills like complex selling, partner management, business alliances. More rare still, only about 1.5% of all sellers on LinkedIn list these skills on their profile. And they're more in demand still. These are about 3 times more in demand than the transactional skills. Okay, so we see this very clear shift in demand by recruiters from transactional sales skills through functional to strategic. If I had to encapsulate, I would say that what we're seeing is a shift in demand. We're seeing the recruiters now demand reps play a much more strategic role. They may have to manage much more complex sales cycles, much more complex buying communities, and much more complex relationships. That's what recruiters are demanding now, and that's why we see the shift to strategic selling. So very clearly, there is this evolution in sales. There's a brighter future, a bright path forward, but there's an evolution. And we, as sales leaders, need to help drive that evolution. We should be at the vanguard of moving to this brighter future. But how do we do that? What's the path forward? Well, I think there are 3 keys to success in unlocking this brighter future of sales. We see the convergence of sales and marketing, automation, helping to improve B2B sales, and personalization at scale. All keys to success, all things we as sales leaders need to unlock to chart the path forward. Talk about convergence of sales and marketing. So historically, sales and marketing have been 2 discrete functions, 2 sets of activities very different. Marketing, typically, controlled top-of-funnel brand awareness through to lead generation, right? Sales, lead generation, down to close a deal. But increasingly, we see these functions more integrated with more convergence. In fact, you don't need to look much further than the Chief Revenue Officer role and the rise of the CRO role. The Chief Revenue Officer is a function that comprises sales and marketing, a relatively new role. And on LinkedIn, we've seen a 73% increase in Chief Revenue Officer titles over the last 3 years. And what's really going on? What does the integration of sales and marketing look like? Well, it means that marketing is now working lower and lower in the funnel. Marketing is using products like HubSpot, Marketo, to manage campaigns much lower down in the funnel, right through to point of conversion, sales conversion. And sales reps are moving up funnel. Sales reps are certainly aggregating content, sometimes creating content, and they are sharing that content with their prospects and with their customers. That's typically been the domain of marketing. So we see sales reps moving up funnel and becoming more like marketers. In fact, we see this convergence of sales and marketing is so prevalent on LinkedIn, and you'll hear more about this later this afternoon, that we are now integrating our Sales Navigator sales product and our Campaign Manager product in Marketing Solutions. We're integrating those products. And it's because with the convergence of sales and marketing, you get outperformance, you get better results. Some of the results we see on LinkedIn are, when a LinkedIn member is nurtured by a marketing campaign, they're 11% more likely to accept a connection request from a seller at that company. When a LinkedIn member engages with a piece of marketing, they're 25% more likely to respond to a Sales Navigator in-mail. And when a sales rep's connections get a piece of content from that sales rep, they're 4.8 times more likely to share it because of that connection. One of our customers has an interesting story about how she manages the convergence of sales and marketing. This is the story of Lenovo. Danielle Yuskovic is the head of digital and social at Lenovo in Asia Pacific. And she tells us that the convergence of sales and marketing for her has really been a guiding principle in their organization for a while. And she says there are really 3 ways that she helps to drive the integration of marketing to create outsized results. 1, she has sales reps publish a piece of long-form content once a month. 2, she's created a website, a content repository. Executives and marketing leaders have created content that sales reps can go get and again share with their prospects and customers. And 3, she has her sales team use Sales Navigator. They use Sales Navigator to target the right kind of customers and prospects and to engage with them and share that kind of information. Now, she feels that this is pretty simple. Salespeople should be more like marketers, and marketers should be more like salespeople. But when they do, she sees this increase in performance. Specifically, her sales reps that use Sales Navigator to share content get 4 times the engagement of non-Sales Navigator users. They do 9 times more connected to decision makers, again, the non-Sales Navigator users. Using sales automation to help B2B sales. We've been using automation to augment human effort at scale, certainly since the Industrial Revolution. Now, it just feels like we're hitting a crescendo. There's more and more automation, and now we're applying it to sales. But we think there are at least 3 ways that automation will help B2B selling. First, automation should help reps focus on higher value activity, right? Free up time. Take away some of that repetitive work. And this is long overdue. CSO Insights tells us that only 40% of a rep's time is spent selling. 60% of time is spent on administrative tasks and training. And administrative tasks, by the way, can be things like manually updating CRM. Well, Sales Navigator integrates with CRM. We're already doing a lot of this, what used to be manual updating, in an automated way. So freeing up sales reps to work on more productive, higher value work. The next way that we think automation may help B2B sales is quite simply by improving rep productivity. That should be the end goal for all of this. Sales Navigator is a productivity tool. It's sales intelligence, predictive analytics, but it's designed to create rep productivity. This is an example of Sales Navigator search. And you can see here on the bottom, when reps use Sales Navigator, they get very targeted sets of leads based on their profile, based on the dimensions that they have put into Sales Navigator. They get targeted sets of accounts. Second from the right, Sales Navigator tells them who's most likely to respond. So eliminating a lot of the manual hunting and pecking for leads and accounts. Serves up those most likely to respond. And so when reps use Sales Navigator, we do see improved productivity. Reps find 4.5 times more decision makers when they use Sales Navigator. They engage with 5 times more decision makers, and they connect with 2.1 times more decision makers when they use Sales Navigator. The third way that automation should help B2B sales is by helping reps learn about their prospects, gain valuable insights so they can take better, smarter actions. This is an example of Sales Navigator's automated alerts sharing insights. This insight says, Jane Boucher started as a vice president of marketing at Trustway Corporation. Underneath that, it says she was previously vice president at TechCore. If Jane was a customer at TechCore and she moved to Trustway, that's an incredibly valuable piece of information. If she was in a sales cycle, also an incredibly valuable piece of information. These are the kind of dynamic, high-quality, real-time insights that sales reps are getting through Sales Navigator that help make them more productive, get them focused on the right kind of work. Now, customers use these in lots of different ways. One interesting way we heard was from Sprinklr. Sprinklr uses automated insights to augment their territory planning. They plan in a very manual way. They use revenue and industry and customer size to set their territory plans. But when they get an alert that suggests that perhaps someone inside a customer organization, a champion, has been promoted to a position of more significance, they actually go back and rescore those accounts. So they're using automated insights to drive leverage, to get high quality, real-time information. And they're using it to change their account planning. Personalization at scale, the last of our keys to success. So personalization at scale in a buying context, again, is happening because buyers are getting these very tailored, customized experiences in their personal lives. Companies like Netflix are using vast amounts of data to serve up very precise and tailored entertainment suggestions. Amazon and Uber are changing the way businesses and consumers interact. And buyers are bringing this from their personal lives into their professional lives. They're asking for tailored interactions, and it's resetting the bar. 77% of buyers want reps to give them tailored conversations, customized, integrated insights and data. And a lot of sellers aren't yet measuring up. But some are. And there's real value when they do. So we need to look no further than sort of typical sales outreach strategy to get a sense for what good things happen when you can customize at scale. Typical cold calling gets about a 1% response rate. Email maybe 3%. In-mail 15%. But top sellers, top sales pros are getting upwards of 30% response rate on in-mail because they are personalizing at scale. So here are some of the things inside LinkedIn and Sales Navigator we've found they are doing. So number one, top sales pros understand the value of finding common ground with their prospects. And common ground can be as straightforward as I'm in the same group, I follow the same group, I have the same skills. Top sales pros know that having common ground between a seller and a buyer yields a 46% increase in in-mail acceptance rates. These top sellers are also using content to personalize. They know that when a prospect engages with content, even before an opportunity has been created, they get a 32% increase in win rate. And so they're using Sales Navigator to understand what content has my prospect received, what's that engagement been like, and how can I personalize that? How can I customize that? And finally, these top sales pros understand the importance of something as simple as a mutual connection, a connection in common with a prospect. Simply having a mutual connection is the second highest predictor of in-mail acceptance rates. I'll show you what I mean. On the y-axis on the left-hand side, percent of increase in in-mail acceptance. On the bottom, activities that drive in-mail acceptance. Here you see second from the right, common connections drive a 51% increase in in-mail acceptance rates. Second only, by the way, to attended the same school at the same time. All you have to do is have that common connection. And that sets the groundwork for this personalized, customized experience. Another one of our customers, I think, does an amazing job of personalizing at scale. Scott Franklin is the head of mid-market sales at Quantum. So Quantum's in the business of digital data protection. After a recent ransomware attack, Scott tells us he knew his product would be perfect for his customers. He was excited to give his product to his customers. His problem was how to convey the efficacy of that portfolio. It's a complicated subject, pretty sensitive, very timely. Email doesn't work for Scott. Quantum uses Sales Navigator, but with email, you can't package up a really customized story. It means attaching a lot of documents that may or may not get opened, very clunky. Quantum knows that when they send an email, they can't track what happens on the back end very effectively. And because of the time-sensitive nature of this ransomware attack, they wanted to be able to communicate over any medium in mobile. Emails doesn't work that well visually in terms of mobile. So Scott's team turned to Point Drive. Point Drive is a feature inside Sales Navigator. And what Point Drive allowed Quantum to do was bundle up visual sales collateral, PowerPoint presentations, Excel spreadsheets, Word documents, bundle those up, and then tailor them. So Scott's team could send ransomware thought leadership to customers or prospects who are at the top of the funnel, product tip sheets to those at mid-funnel, even proposals to those at the bottom of the funnel. Point Drive allowed him to package all those up and send them via a URL to his prospects. And once his prospects opened the Point Drive, the Quantum team had immediate insight to all the activity that happens with the buyer. They understand who opened the documents, who opened which document, how long they spent with whom they shared that document. And so they got this very complete picture of the buying cycle, who was influential, who played certain roles based on the content that they interacted with. They got a picture of the buying cycle. Where were they in a buying cycle? Again, based on the content that they sent and read. Scott tells us the story of one of his prospects who got this very specific piece of ransomware material and immediately got back to him and said, "This is great, it's perfect," and became a customer because they customized at scale. So you were already bought in on the bright future of sales. Hopefully now you're more bought in. There is a very clear path forward to a bright future of sales. It's evolving though. We see very clearly the shift to more strategic selling, a demand for more strategic sellers. I'd leave you with 3 actions that you can take as you walk out of Executive Sales Forum to help drive and chart the evolution of sales. First, I think about the skills inside your organizations. Do you have the skills for today, or do you have the skills for tomorrow? Does your sales team and do your teams have these strategic selling skills that are becoming more and more in demand? 2, I'd think about your collective sales and marketing go-to-market process. Are you optimized? Are you converging sales and marketing in such a way that you're getting some of these outsized results? And 3, be using the technology that helps to augment the human effort. Right? Use technology to make your reps more productive. Sales Navigator helps your reps focus on the higher value work, creates those insights, and makes them more productive. So LinkedIn and Sales Navigator would like to help be your guide on the evolving path of sales to its very bright future. Thank you very much.